Good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching from different time zones, good morning or good evening. My name is Marilyn. I am the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS. And we are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive in all aspects by co creating customized programs with our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony, ProLife UK, Ayala Group, Chevron, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, and Shell, to name a few. Experts say that the pandemic will last for at least the next 3 to 5 years. This is why we are organizing several interventions, including this interview, to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the new normal, those who find it stressful to lead and ensure performance of remote team, and of course those who are actually afraid that they can keep their team and their business, so that they will be able to stay relevant and to continue to lead effectively in any situation. So today it's my great pleasure to introduce our leader for the day, and his name is Sam Chia. He has over 30 years of successful career spanning across as an international corporate leader, executive coach, consultant, and facilitator. His last corporate role was the vice president and managing director of subsidiaries of a global listed company. Sam embarked on his coaching career after taking up the role of managing consultant of a regional human resource practice. He has a special interest in developing leadership capabilities through executive coaching. He has coached C suites leaders, business owners, and senior executive teams from both private and not for profit organizations. His clients are spread across Asia Pacific. With his passion in coaching, Sam has co edited a book in 2010 called Coaching in Asia, the First Decade. He has regularly contributed articles on leadership and coaching to the Straits Times and Human Resource magazine. So, without so much further ado, I'd like to bring in Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Marilyn.
Good afternoon to you. And it's a pleasure to have you here today. And I look forward to learning from you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me today. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And so let's jump in. I mean, we have a lot to talk about. I do have like 8 questions to ask you.
Oh,
Basically, the first three questions are like around, for us to be able to understand like from which perspective are you actually coming from. And then the 4 to 6 question will be the meaty part, I would say. That's where we're gonna learn a lot from you, from your experience.
uh,
And the last 2 questions would be my Miss Universe questions.
okay. Okay. Look
so,
forward to that. Yeah.
so to start with, I just wanted to understand like if you can please share with us, your leadership experiences, your influencers, and possibly like, if you have like a favorite leadership style, I would say. Please feel free to share with us.
Right. Thank you again, Marilyn. Yeah. In fact, I'm very, very blessed to have a great leadership mentor actually that have
Mhm.
impacted my leadership practices, throughout the period of my career. In fact, I started my career as a chartered certified accountant.
Mhm.
And I spent almost like 10 years in accounting, finance, industries. And I began to take up leadership role after I was promoted to general management. That was in the early 90s. In fact, my first assignment, I was even posted to China to take up a totally different role. Yeah, that
Mhm.
was challenging time. Yeah, but it's really, acquire a lot of leadership skills,
Mhm.
especially in the totally new environment. Yeah, so I've been kind of leading companies for over 25 years now, and I work across with diversified teams across Asia
Mhm.
Pac. Like
Mhm.
like you mentioned, my last role is regional VP for about Southeast Asia and India.
Mhm.
So during the corporate journey, I find that good leadership can create a positive impact not only to the company. Actually, it really reaches out to the leader themselves and also their families and the environment they are in. So
Mhm.
imagine they enjoy coming to work, and that's the same thing they're going to impact their
Mhm.
families. Yeah.
Yes.
So and I started coaching. In fact, even during my corporate days, because I find that this is something that I can help my leaders to fast
Mhm.
track their growth. So
Mhm.
in fact, I'm a very strong proponent of leadership. Actually, despite I have to run businesses, I spend. In fact, invested quite a lot of time to actually coach and train my leaders so
Mhm.
that we can align the kind of expectation, align the kind of value and the
Mhm.
practices that I have expected from them. Yeah. And also because of that, my interest, that's where I was invited to join this human resource consulting practice,
Mhm.
actually, to continue my interest to build more leaders.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's where I move out from corporate to start my leadership journey in the different areas.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you ask me, I basically have been impacted by three leaders that I come across my life. And the first one was when I was early part of my career, when I was in the accounting and finance industries. The
Mhm.
managing partner of this firm has created a fantastic culture where people are just happy coming to work. Basically, they are very supportive. While the job is not easy, in the accounting firm, it's always deadlines and all, but people feel comfortable. People love to come because of the way the leader treat the people. Yeah, they
Mhm.
are always there to support you, and beyond the typical work, even the social activities, they are there. They join you in the social activities. They cheer us in some of the activities that we are doing. So it's that environment that create the first impact on me, that I really need to have the right environment for people to be successful, and that inculcate that is into my leadership practice. I focus a
Mhm.
lot of culture that started.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
second that impacted me was another leaders who focus about my development, and he
Mhm.
knows my interests. As an accountant, I wanted to move into the business, and he have
Mhm.
facilitated the opportunity for me to get involved in different part of the business. And
Mhm.
also he kind of helped me to create my visibility, so that I was given the role of a
Mhm.
regional role to take up,
Mhm.
like I say, the posting to China.
Mhm.
So the second leader really impacted me as a good leader. You got to invest time on the people to understand
Mhm.
where their aspiration, and you are
Mhm.
there to help the person to move
Mhm.
forward. Right. And the last leaders that influenced me is the American bosses. In
Mhm.
fact, he's the one that bring me my leadership to the next level, actually.
Mhm.
So I always remember there's one word he told me. He says, Sam, you always do a good job, but performance alone is not sufficient to bring you to the next level. That's where
Mhm.
he kind of highlight that I need to have more visibility.
Mhm.
That inculcate into my mind, because in Asia somehow we are a bit more kind of low profile.
Mhm.
We don't shine as much as the different kind of Western leaders.
Mhm.
So, but through his support and advice, I begin to strengthen my visibility, my executive presence, and
Mhm.
that bring my leadership to the next level. And all
Mhm.
this still with me. And this is now I basically continue to
Mhm.
inculcate some of these good practices with my coachee, actually. All
Mhm.
right. So if you ask me my leadership style, I certainly I'm a coaching leadership style. I
Mhm.
focus a lot of the capability on the people.
Mhm.
This is where I have seen the tremendous results.
Mhm.
If I'm able to lift up the people, they will
Mhm.
bring the results. Yeah, right.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And you're so lucky that you have a lot of great leaders who have
Uh-huh.
influenced you from, when you've started. You've shared with us at least three of them. And we really appreciate, you highlighting as well that, performance is not enough. You have to be visible. And I think that's like a lot of leaders are missing out. We actually had like several conversations with Alicia recently on career coaching. And
mm,
a lot of times it's like, not being able to communicate your worth as well within the organization. And leaders
mm,
need to see that as well, right? And I guess
right.
that's the reason why your American leader that you mentioned, that you have to also have that executive presence, personal branding and visibility, like what you've mentioned. And
Yes.
also I really appreciate that you've shared, like, how important good leadership is, because we're just having a conversation before this live
Uh,
session. Like I've told you that, even though leadership is like uh, I would say a busy area, like where a lot of companies and organizations are already like tapping on. But I told you that I chose this because like what you've said, good leadership can actually create a positive impact, not only in the organization but
yeah.
also it's people and their family, right? and,
Yes.
and that's the reason why I'm so passionate about this, and this is where like I'm gearing towards to moving forward, because I said like it has an important impact to ourselves and to the community that we are in, right?
Mm,
And before I move to the next question, I just wanted to say hello to David Raj. He's saying hello,
uh,
as well as to Armin. Hi, Armin. Thank you so much for watching this live session with Sam.
hello.
And yeah, so in you've shared quite a number of your experience with us, from when you started corporate, as a corporate leader, and now as an executive coach, right? So can you please help us define what is leadership for you?
Right. Right. There are many, many definitions. If you look into, you will Google leadership, there's so many definitions. But don't leadership don't have to be so complex. To me, it's pretty straightforward. Leadership to me is about able to inspire and support
Mhm,
your people to
mhm,
maximize their capability. That's the first thing. Help them to flourish, help them to be
mhm,
successful. And
mhm,
second is really provide the guidance, the
mhm,
direction,
mhm,
so that we are aligned and move toward the same directions.
mhm,
So that is the fundamental. Of course, to me, the key is still come back to uh, humanity. Somehow, I
mhm,
find that leadership, because of the urge of driving profits, driving
mhm.
results,
True.
sometimes people forgot about humanity. Yeah,
Yes.
so I believe humanity is even more important in the current environment. That more compassion,
Mhm.
empathy, you know, trust, gratitude, and respect are even more important in the current environment. In terms of practicing of leadership, actually. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing with us. And I love
Mm-hmm.
what you said about, it's all about inspiring and
Mm-hmm.
supporting people. And
Mm-hmm.
I remembered my interview last Friday with Harvey. In fact, like he also highlighted humanity. And
Yeah.
that obviously, like, shows like who are the best leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they give importance to their people, and that part of compassion, empathy, gratitude, respect, and trust that you've mentioned, I believe that it's a lot of times been missing to some, extent to some leaders, right?
Right.
Um, because they thought that, oh, I have to be strict, I have to do this, I have to do that, and might see me like weak if I am vulnerable and all those stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like the challenges for some leaders. But in fact, like, one of the um COVID-19 brought about to our life is to
Mm.
highlight that, because now like we are stuck home, like especially during the lockdowns, right? Where like,
Yeah.
oh, I have a lot of money, but then I cannot use it, right? More or
Yeah.
less, like, I have, even if you have like, those amazing brands of cars or things, but then in the end, you can't actually use it because you can't go out, in fact, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And that actually gave us an opportunity to be able to have that balance in terms of humanity, in terms of, like, on the soft side of leadership, right?
Leadership, yes, yes. You don't have to be hard, leadership,
Right.
but a lot of people relate it to kind of you need to be hard, to
Mhm.
push, and yeah, right,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right, right. And that actually leads me to my next question,
Mm-hmm,
that, I've made mention about COVID-19, and people
mm-hmm.
are actually talking about this new normal or next normal. So, from the past months that, you were also experiencing, and you've been like coaching executives on, like, how they can adapt. How would you define or describe the next normal then?
Right. Yeah, in fact, the COVID-19 do bring us major lessons to learn.
Mhm.
Uh,
True.
in fact, it's interesting when I talk to some leaders are still hoping that things will be back to normal.
Yes,
After 6 months, hopefully things will be back to normal. I say, you won't be back to normal. It's a different normal that you got to learn to live with that kind of a new environment. So
mm-hmm.
to me, that there are three fundamental difference. First
Mm-hmm.
is that the general environment, whether it's economics
Mm-hmm.
environment, will be constantly to be unstable. In the past, people expect, okay, once it's stable, you'll be stable for a couple of years before another new things that happen in the
Mm-hmm.
economics, the kind of cycle people expect. But now, no, just like what we have experienced, even in Singapore, we think that things are okay. Suddenly, you have this new virus, and so we have to live
Exactly.
in that kind of environment that the
Mm-hmm.
the constantly challenge the environment,
Changing.
because they have a lot of impact on us, because especially
Mm-hmm.
for the business side,
Mm-hmm.
your product mobility, even if you have a client, you have a business. I have leaders who are crying, I don't have parts, I don't have components because they can't be shipped, even they have client. So this is the kind of environment people are dealing with. So
Mm-hmm.
it has to be a bit more creative. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
just think that the old ways will work. Yeah, continue to leverage on the technology, especially to overcome some of this limitation.
Mm-hmm.
Again, as a people, we have to be a bit more flexible to adopt
True.
to the
Mm-hmm.
changes. And second, also very interesting, I just spoke to one leader this morning. People working remotely from home. Yeah, again, this is not to be temporarily, it can be permanent.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, some big consulting firms is going to be permanent. You guys choose, you can work from
Mm-hmm.
home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of the challenge, like I say this morning, the leader say, is that the personal, the human touch is different.
Mm-hmm.
They say in the past I can visit, those in the regional location. A lunch can tell me a lot of story about their issues, their challenges.
Mm-hmm.
A coffee will give me more understanding about what they. But now I can't. I'm so handicapped. Just I can only see them over Zoom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we have to work in this kind of environment, because
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be permanent, and we have to be more creative to leverage the technologies, and how do we work with our people. uh, uh, so in fact, like what you say, people are work within the boundary of the work life, so don't know when is work, when is life, because they'll be responding to emails at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and this
Correct.
has created real issue about the mental and health
Mm-hmm.
issue on the
Mm-hmm.
people. So as a leader, I think it's our responsibility to help them to manage this situation, in this work from home environment, to provide whatever support. We know how to manage our boundary so that we don't call them unless it's necessary, after certain hours. So this is
True.
something that people need to adjust,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the third area I look at is more from a business perspective. Is really about the way we manage our customers, the business
Mm-hmm.
model. Uh, in fact, many business models have been disrupted in the past because of
Definitely.
the technology like Grab,
Uh-huh.
Netflix,
True.
Airbnb, and all those are already affecting us. What happened during pandemic is they speed up that process, the
True.
acceleration of that
Mm-hmm.
process.
Yes.
So people need to really rethink about how we manage a business,
Mhm.
leveraging technologies, and
Mhm.
even how we deliver our product and services. In the past, we talk about best service. In fact, some organizations are looking at self-service. If I can facilitate self-service, the client is in control to
Mhm.
get the service. So you have to rethink the way we run the business actually, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
True. Yes. And before I comment on that, I'd like to say hello to Manuel. He's also engaging with us. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, from what I hear from you, I hear a lot of, constantly unstable, like what you've shared. You've also shared about, disruptions, changes, and definitely working remotely is here to stay, I would say. Right.
Yeah.
Like what you've mentioned, and I totally agree with you, and we're just quite lucky that we've been used to it, like we've been working remotely ourselves,
Mhm.
right, for the past years, and it's workable, right? I mean,
Yes.
like, gone are the days where people has to be physical to know that they're being productive. But again, like what you've said, we have to highlight as well at the same time, like, because
Mhm.
I've been up until now, I've been
Right.
hearing a lot of, when I would have conversation with some clients and potential clients, they would always complain about that, there's always meeting after meetings, and then, like, even at night we can't, even take a rest that much, or we've been receiving email, even calls, and all those stuff. But I guess from the from what we have discussed in our previous transforming and thriving together
Mhm.
summit, um some of actually several speakers have shared, like, you have to have that boundary, or set that boundary, for yourself and for your team
Right.
as well, right? Because
Right. Right.
yes, we understand that we're working from home, but then again, um we have to set that boundary that this is our office hours and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, for those, because I mean, Singapore is a regional area, or even, like, I do have some clients who are having global roles, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes the
That
time
time zone. Yeah, you work all the
difference.
three time zone.
Yes, and especially now that, we're in an era where it's so easy to be global. Now that, we're all online and available virtually,
Right.
so, but
Right.
again, you can just remind yourself or the other person, like, this is the timing here now, and I don't want to, because sometimes I do that as well. I don't
Mhm.
want to forget the message, so I would just send it, but I don't really like expect you to respond to me now.
Right.
Such
Right.
thing, I just don't want to forget. But if you clarify that again with, with your colleagues or with your team, then that should be fine, right? But again,
Yeah.
it's all about having that boundaries as well,
Mm.
and to be able to adapt in a better way, or a balanced way, right? In this
Yes.
these
Yes.
disruptions, like what you've
Yeah.
said, right?
Because we are human, I mean, short term, yes, we are okay to work that kind of work, but long term, it's going to have a huge impact on the health, actually, right?
Exactly. Yes. And before I proceed to my next question, I just want to read a comment from CW. He said, "Do you agree businesses review SH review what they can bring online so that
Right,
they continue to sustain through hard times when they got again?" Um,
right, right.
are, can you see the question?
Yeah.
Is it something
Yes,
that
yeah. I guess it's just these questions. Yeah, I mean, current environment is whether we still maintain our traditional way of running business. I think
Mhm,
moving online is certainly directions that we have
mhm,
to build as part of the business. Uh,
mhm,
doesn't mean that when it's over we just forget. I mean, these are the additional avenue you can reach out. Having an online model now,
mhm.
beside your traditional model, you can
Yeah,
create a new avenue to
true.
online. And this
Yeah.
online is really beyond boundary. You can reach, different countries and all. So
Mhm.
yes, I think you should, even to explore leveraging technology to create an online business.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm, right.
Thank you. Thank you
Mm,
for
mm,
clarifying
mm,
that
mm,
for
mm, mm,
CW. And so
mm,
that leads me to my next question.
mm, mm,
From your experience working as a corporate leader and
mm,
working with corporate leaders now as well,
mm,
what would you say are the top three problems that
mm.
they would normally face?
Yeah. To me, it's always people. Talent, yeah. It's any organization, any leaders you talk to,
Mhm,
is always the shortage of the right talent.
mhm,
I mean, this is something that we have to accept. Even in the past, shortage of good talent. Yeah.
mhm,
But now with the environment, because of the technologies are driving a lot of changes in the process. So even the skill of our existing people are not sufficient. They got to continue to learn new skills,
mhm,
new way of doing things. So it's really to help our people to catch up,
mhm,
with the skill gaps. We call
mhm,
that. Yeah.
mhm.
So shortage of skill talent is really the big number one problem. And
Yeah.
second, now is really about coping with the frequent changes. So, like I say, people need to be flexible in the way they handle the customers.
Mhm,
So again, how do you help your people to adjust, to be more agile? So you got to provide them with the tools,
mhm,
provide them with the resources so that they can be flexible in deal with the customer's
mhm,
response.
mhm,
Yeah, because now everything is so connected, so it's really, we have to be very, very flexible. The last is very interesting phenomenon that I noticed is
mhm,
the focus on sustainability. Yeah, in the past, not as much. I know that people are kind of gradually moving into
mhm,
CSR and all those stuff, but during this COVID, I do notice that people are putting more emphasis on sustainability. Means focus your business into three areas: profit, people, and the planet. So not to forget about the planet side, while you run a business, because the pandemic has created the social awareness that all
right.
this virus, the impact on the social it can be major.
Mhm,
So companies are beginning to focus on that. I mean, the reason, a good example is the
mhm,
listed company in Malaysia, the Rubber Glove. They are world number one, and because of the way some of the people are being managed, the
mhm,
share price are impacted. The
mhm,
branding are impacted, and it's a
mhm.
major impact. So organization need to be a bit more focused in terms of sustainability now. Actually, yeah, right.
Thank
Mhm.
you for sharing that with us. And I really love
Mm,
what you've mentioned about, the main or the
mm,
top problem would
mm,
be the
mm,
the talent part, getting the
mm,
relevant and skilled talent.
mm.
And of course my favorite part is of course where we are focusing on is of course the training that is needed to develop this people, these leaders. And in fact, we're actually running a master class this Wednesday on career coaching, which is a lot to do with employee retention and employee
Mm.
engagement. Um, because it's costly, more
Yes, yes.
costly to actually hire new people again, especially if
Mm,
you have your star employees, as we call, or high performing team members. It's not easy to get them, like what you've said, shortage of
yeah,
relevant and skilled talent, and to keep them is another challenge, right?
right,
So how
right.
can you actually retain them? So we're actually running this program on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So if
Mm,
there are listeners now that would like to address this, feel free to connect with us to find out more. And so and yeah, you made mention about sustainability. This is where we've actually generally met, right? We are in the
yes,
we're
same,
in the same
same business group, right, right. They focus on
group or
the,
community where we're really like helping each other, or
mm,
collaborating with each other to create this awareness on sustainability.
mm,
And it's important because
mm,
like what you've said, it's all about balancing the
mm,
business with profit, people, and planet,
mm,
right? At the
right.
end of the day, if we're not integrated or we're not balanced,
Mm.
I think success will be too far away from from
Yeah, yeah.
attainable, right?
Right,
If
right.
to be the case, yeah. So
Mm.
having said that, what are the important leadership capabilities and skills you must have in the
Mm.
next normal to continue to lead
Right.
effectively?
Yeah. There are a couple of important skill. Like in the we forum also, they kind of
Mhm.
projected some skills. But
Yes.
basically, my interaction with the leaders, the couple of things. Probably first is really
Mhm.
technology is always the
Yes.
focus. Even the
Mhm.
leader themselves, they need to understand, about
Mhm.
big data, artificial intelligence. They don't have to be technical. At least they need to understand how we can use this tool to help
Exactly.
them. Yeah, yeah. And the other part is those building out a bit more empathy and flexibility, because these two behavior will help you in terms of the
Mhm.
adjustment with the changes. Actually,
Mhm.
having a bit more empathy and flexibility will help in managing the agility.
Mhm.
Of course, I just mentioned embracing sustainability driven purpose,
Mhm. Mhm.
equally important.
Mhm.
Then transforming your business model, I say you need to revisit the way how you serve your customer, looking
Mhm.
at what is the technologies available, and you got to
Mhm.
bring that in.
Mhm.
Learning organization, constant learning. There's
Mhm.
no end, because it's always have new things coming up. Yeah, you
Mhm.
need
Mhm.
to build that environment that people need to prepare to learn and acquire new skills.
Mhm.
And the other point is really about communication. We got to be a bit more creative to be connected.
Mhm.
Because I say everybody work from home, everybody is scattered. How can we inspire one another,
Mhm.
together? Yeah, I think the lastly is really about purpose. I think that
Mhm.
is even need to strengthen so that the
Mhm.
people are constantly aligned with the purpose, because this is the only thing that really bind the people together. Actually, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I believe these are a couple of skills that's important in this new environment. Yeah.
Yes, thank you
Mm,
for sharing that. And you've made mention about artificial intelligence,
mm,
technology,
mm,
big data.
mm,
And this is something that, it's important, and yet a lot of
mm,
leaders are still, working on. In fact, I recently took a certification program on
uh,
AI, basic.
oh,
So
that's
it's like,
good.
okay, I've been hearing AI for
Uh-huh,
quite some time, and then
uh-huh.
what is it
What's
actually?
that?
And so, right. So
Yes.
I've actually took this opportunity to take this basic artificial intelligence certification program,
Mm-hmm.
and it's amazing. Like I was surprised. I'm so surprised, like how much it can actually benefit a lot of companies,
Yes.
in different industries. In fact, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like wow, amazing,
Yeah.
and of course, you we've been actually talking a lot about the empathy,
Mm-hmm.
flexibility, and
Mm-hmm.
sustainability. And these
Mm-hmm.
are definitely some of the top, important
Mm-hmm.
things that leaders must take note of. And of course, the continuous learning. It's something that we as a leader must be a role model for our
Right.
organization.
Yes.
I think being able to drive and to influence or inspire your team to have that culture of continuous learning
Mm-hmm.
is important to be able to adapt in this new normal or next normal, as they call, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, surprised, even you look at all my gray hairs, I'm very into the technology part. I built my own website. In fact, I manage website for some of my nonprofit organization. I do SEOs, I do social marketing. So I got to learn. If not, I'll be obsolete. I
True,
got to
true.
keep up with the technology. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right.
Right.
And that's what's good about people
Mm.
like us. We're addicted to learning. In fact,
Yeah.
we're always like, upgrading ourselves and all
Uh,
those stuff. And it's so dangerous if you stop on doing that, right? If
yes,
you stop
yes.
learning, you become old. So even if you have
Uh,
white hairs, you stay
uh,
young because you're
yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
so you always continuously learn, and yeah, it's important. I mean, it's the only way to be adaptable to this next normal that
Yes.
all as well. So having, we've shared how important learning is, the leadership as well. So
Mm,
let's
mm,
actually integrate it in such a way. What do you actually believe is the role of learning, leadership, and
mm, mm,
transformation, in
mm.
order to thrive in the next normal?
Right, right. Yeah, again, like I mentioned, we need to build a learning organization. So learning to enable our organization to
Mhm,
acquire the skills that we can
mhm.
catch up. As a
Right.
leaders, again, it's continue to find the talent, grow them, you
Mhm,
know, provide them with the directions to move forward. And
mhm,
lastly, about transformation is really about looking at how we service our customer. You have to relook at what is the better
yeah.
way to service our customers,
Mhm,
especially with all this technology that is
mhm,
available at the moment. Actually,
mhm,
yeah. So all these are interconnected. Actually, learning, leadership,
mhm,
transformation, you put together. Yeah, yeah,
mhm.
right.
Yes, thank you for
Mm,
sharing
mm,
that.
mm,
And let
mm,
me just
mm, mm.
share your a summary of that. And again, we've made mention again, like how important continuous learning is. And we can't get away from it. I would say, and of course,
Right.
developing your people, especially your
Yeah.
critical talents, right? And
Yeah.
of course, nowadays leveraging on technology, like what you've mentioned, and that will help us again to continuously serve both our internal and external
To the
customers
customer.
in the
Yeah.
organization, right? So
Right.
thank you for sharing that. And so now we move on to the next question of, if you have a magic wand that you can use.
Wow. I love to have that, Marilyn.
Me too, I'd love to have that as well. So if you have that, um and can use it, what will you do with it?
Yeah. I will duplicate people. It's very scary. Duplicate
Mhm.
people. That's it. Talent is really short. If I can duplicate some of this good talent, you know,
Wow.
well, that is very ideal. But we can't. We know that practically we can't. So the only next step is really to groom them. To to
Uh-huh.
to bring them to the level. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really about people. So you can really duplicate your people. You're going to create wonders for your business. Yeah, yeah. Right.
Yes. And I'm glad that, even without the magic wand, you've been already doing a lot of work in terms of getting the best out of people, right?
People. Yeah,
And
yeah.
what more if you have that magic wand, you can actually duplicate it.
Right,
I mean,
right.
duplicate those best people in their function.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that moves me actually in my last questions. You've made mention earlier about your great hair, your great hair, and that, a lot of experience that you've been exposed to both as a corporate leader and now serving corporate leaders as well. So, if you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? And please feel free to share with us why you chose that question.
Yeah, that's one question I always ask myself and the leader that I coach is the value. Yeah,
Mhm,
because value is the compass. I always say,
mhm,
what is the key value to you? Same
mhm,
thing with the organization. What are the
mhm,
key values of organization?
mhm,
So these are the constant question we need to ask because these are the
mhm,
one that going to bring us, so that we keep our focus and
mhm.
practicing the right value, aligning the people to practice similar value. This will translate into a culture actually,
True.
and this is where a lot of magic can happen. Having the right culture, the right people. A
Mhm,
lot of magic I've seen in my own eyes, in corporate
mhm,
world. We create a lot of impossible when we together with the team actually. So I'm very
mhm,
proud of the team and the leader that I have created. So it's
mhm,
all about alignment of the value and
mhm,
the directions we are in.
mhm,
So if there's anything, I will suggest that revisit your own value. Yeah, make
Mhm.
sure you're clear, and because this will drive you, forward actually. Yeah, and of course the other part, as a practice of value, I not to
Mhm.
forget, is the humanity part. I always reinforce the humanity part about, some of these human values, the basic human values we should continue to embrace actually. Yeah,
Mhm.
right. So again, these are compassion, humility, empathy, and gratitudes. Yeah, right. Mm.
So it's like, getting back to basic in term
Yeah.
basic, like what
Yes.
you said. It's all
Yeah.
about, having your values as your
Mm.
compass, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing, like I
Mm.
mean, throughout our conversation, you made
Mm.
mention a lot about culture. And
Mm.
again, doesn't really like, take one training or one coaching session to
Yeah.
have that. It's I mean, it's an effort, an investment, not only for yourself but also
Mm.
to those people that are around you, and it takes time. I mean, like,
Yes.
to create a habit, it already takes like how many days,
Yes.
even months.
Yeah. Yeah.
What more if we're, trying to, or doing our best to create that better culture within the organization. It
Mm.
definitely takes time, effort, investment on all our parts, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't really depend on just one leader. If we just get to be more accountable with our own learning, and if everyone works together, right?
Yes.
Able
Yes.
to get that, because sometimes, like, some, people, I've been having that conversation a lot as
Hmm.
well, like, oh, we've tried this but we didn't get a result
Right.
from this and all those stuff. And so
Mm.
I would always actually joke around, like, even for training alone, like, it's
Mm.
like taking a bath. I mean, you don't take a bath now and you expect that you will smell good after 1 month of not taking a bath.
Right. Yeah.
you know it's a process. It's something that you do over and over again,
Right.
right?
Yes,
So
you're totally right, because changing habits is not something that, one training you're going to change the habit. You won't. We know practically you won't. So it's the constant, practice, the consistent, that make the shift.
yeah.
That's why I'm very kind of uh, I will always talk about coaching, because coaching, there's a journey. We normally spend about 6 months with the client, and this is
Mhm.
where we constantly check in about the
Yeah.
change. So you need someone to help you accountable for the change, help you
True.
in the shifting process actually. So you,
Yes.
you need
Yes.
to practice consistently, yeah, to
Mhm.
make change happen actually. Yeah. But leaders, like you say, you got to start with themselves. They got to lead the way. Yeah.
Yes.
They got to
Yes.
start with themselves. Yeah.
And that's key. I mean, a cultural change takes a lot of work, yes, but then
Yeah.
it's definitely gonna be worth it, right? And that's
Yeah.
why, from us providing training, I said, like, oh, I feel so
Mm.
fulfilled in,
Mm.
providing training. We've been receiving a lot of positive comments,
Mm.
testimonials, and all those stuff. But I've
Mm.
always felt that there's something missing. I like, we talk about sustainability earlier, and like,
Right.
if you just do one training, or like,
Mm.
you don't really like work it out in such a way that it's gonna be
Mm.
like sustainable and consistent,
Mm.
then it's like, okay, is that the right path to do? So that's why I said, from training, it's like, I believe I should move to consulting, because it's really where, the consistency and sustainable part, because
Mm.
that's the challenge on my side, as a provider or an external
Mm.
partner. I
Mm.
don't really get to monitor, and I don't really get to like help them through the
Right.
journey, as
Yeah.
compared, I do consulting, like what you've mentioned, you've been doing, like, a minimum of 6 months and all those
Mm.
stuff, because it's
Mm.
necessary to have that, journey with, to have that change, and it takes
Mm.
time.
Yes, yes. I think a consultative approach is important, because every organization is different.
True.
The leaders' background, the how the business are started. So everyone is different. You need
Yes.
to tailor, to customize to their particular uniqueness about the
Yes.
environment. Yeah, and
Yes.
training certainly is still important. It's just part of the element, but you got to create the right environment for
Exactly.
people to work. Actually, that environment is where the practices of value
True.
some of the common behaviors, and
Yes.
that comes in. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
right.
and because it takes, like, I would say, it takes not only time and effort, or
Mm,
that change in the
mm,
behavior, in the in different aspects of the processes as well, to have
mm-hmm,
that profitability,
mm,
that's the performance and productivity within the organization,
mm,
right? So again, like what you've said, definitely training will be part of this, but
mm.
then there are several interventions that has to come along.
Comes together. Yes, it has to
Yeah,
comes together,
more
and the leaders got to
more sticky.
constantly focus. As part of the strategy. Because when
Mhm,
they talk about strategy, people talk about product, talk about
mhm.
marketing, but they forgot about this part of that environment for the people to be successful. This is
Yeah,
part of the strategy. If you get this right,
exactly.
in fact, the other two will be much easier.
Mhm.
Actually,
Yes,
right.
yes, true, true.
Uh,
So I really had so much takeaway from this conversation. Before we end, I mean, I'm done asking my questions,
oh,
and we're already having an amazing
wow,
conversation
it's
here.
almost an hour. I didn't
So
expect this.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So is there any message or anything that you'd like to share with our audience on top of what we have discussed, before we end this interview?
Uh, yeah, like I always like to stretch at leaders. We take the lead. We got to lead by example and walk the talk. And
True.
the value that we demonstrate is important, because this will create the impact on how people behave. Actually, so yeah, just get ourselves in the right pitch, and I believe that that will help. Yeah, right.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. We've learned
Thank
so
you.
much from you, Sam. And I find this conversation really fruitful. I would say this is very people centric and full of humility. And yes, let's, do all our best, everyone here, even, our audience, to help in, making our world a better place to live in by
Yeah,
having that self leadership and being able to continuously learn, so that our community is also would also benefit from it, right? So
right.
thank you so much, Sam, and
Thank you.
I really appreciate having this conversation with you, or this interview with you. And of course, thank you everyone, especially those who've engaged with us and who will be watching us in the next few days, I would say, or a few months,
Uh-huh.
for those who missed the live session. So, and of course, do join us in this journey to fight this pandemic that caused challenges, to turn it into opportunity through several interventions that we can help you with. And I would say, remember that even the richest investors in the world would say that investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever make in your life, right? So, with that, I'd like to leave you with this quote from Dolly Parton, that if your action create legacy that inspires others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Thank you so much, everyone, and
Thank
bye
you.
for now.
Thank you. Bye.